While out hunting, a man suddenly spotted a wild woman bathing in the river. This discovery thrilled him beyond measure. Even after the woman got dressed, the man stared, still captivated, and he began to have dark, wicked thoughts about her. So, he secretly followed her all the way to the cave where she lived. Not daring to act right away, he found a hiding spot and waited. When the wild woman left to search for food, the man, let's call him John, quickly threw a fishing net over her. Terrified, the woman struggled with all her might, but within seconds, John arrived and knocked her out with the butt of his gun. He dragged the unconscious woman back to his house and locked her. Then he started caressing her body, but a foul stench suddenly overwhelmed him. It almost made him faint. Despite the filth covering her body, John was mesmerized by her delicate facial features. When he tried to examine her teeth, the woman suddenly snapped. She bit off his index finger and chewed it right in front of him. Furious, John punched her again and knocked her out cold. After bandaging his wound, he brought his whole family over to show off his catch and declared that he would tame her within 3 days. His 2 daughters were confused and disturbed by his behavior, but his son stared at the wild woman with eyes full of lust. To make her more civilized, John decided to bathe her. To wash off years of filth, he used a high-pressure water hose and blasted her with it. The intense force caused the woman immense pain. His daughter, Emily, begged him to stop, but John ignored her. Just as the woman was about to lose consciousness, Emily yanked the plug on the water pump. This act made the wild woman believe that Emily was the only kind person in the family. Over time, the woman grew more submissive and no longer lashed out as before. John was pleased and thought the time had come to act. Late that night, once his wife was asleep, he quietly snuck into the basement. Though his wife sensed something was wrong, she didn't dare confront him. After all, the entire family relied on John. He believed no one would find out about his monstrous actions, but he didn't know his son had drilled a peephole into the basement door and was secretly watching everything. Clearly, the son was no better than his father. The next day, after school, the boy snuck into the basement with some biscuits, trying to win the woman's favor, but she wasn't interested. Annoyed, the boy threw the biscuits aside and pulled out a pair of pliers. Emily heard the woman's screams and rushed down to stop her brother's sick behavior. She felt deeply guilty but could only help the wild woman get dressed again. When John found out, he wasn't angry at all. Instead, he defended his son, saying, "He's going through puberty. It's normal to be curious about women." His wife was devastated and immediately demanded a divorce. When John remained unmoved, she declared she would take the children and go to the police. This enraged John. He warned her not to cause unnecessary trouble, or he wouldn't hesitate to lock her up too. But she was determined to leave. Furious, John beat her unconscious with a flurry of punches. Just then, there was a knock at the door. It was a neighbor. The neighbor had often heard sounds of fighting from the house. John claimed his wife was going through menopause and liked to throw things around. But when the neighbor saw the woman lying motionless, he immediately knew something was wrong and tried to call the police. Fearing exposure, John knocked the neighbor out too and dragged him to the storage shed. Inside were 2 vicious guard dogs, barking aggressively. The neighbor cowered in a corner while John and his son watched from outside like it was a show. But they didn't expect that another wild person was also locked up inside the shed. Without hesitation, that wild one bit the neighbor's throat and killed him on the spot. Unable to bear her father's cruelty any longer, Emily decided to free the wild woman in the basement. Coincidentally, her mother had just regained consciousness and ran into the woman as she was leaving the basement. To the wild woman, Emily was the only kind soul in the house, so she immediately pounced on the mother and tore her apart with her teeth. Then she followed the sounds to the shed to take revenge on John and his son. In front of John's eyes, she killed his son. John ran to get a weapon but was too late. The wild woman finished him off too. In the end, John paid for his sins. Justice was served. Just as the wild woman was about to leave, the one who killed the neighbor crawled out of the shed. Since they had finally found someone like themselves, they decided to travel together. Meanwhile, Emily prepared to flee with her younger sister. But the little girl wasn't afraid of the wild people at all. She even handed them her water bottle. The wild woman realized that the little sister, like Emily, was also kind. So, instead of harming them, the wild people decided to take the 2 girls along and start a new life together. That's the end of today's story. See you again tomorrow.